Hey, what's up, tribe? How is everyone doing today? Happy Wednesday. I am having a great day so far. Actually, I couldn't sleep at all last night, so I was up at 3, but I got a lot of stuff done and got in a run before it started raining and has been doing tons of content. So it's been a great day. It's been a very productive day. So let me know how you guys are doing. Tell me what's up. I want to interact with people more, so let's comment. Let's interact a little bit during this video. So today we're going to talk about cravings, binging, addictions, everything in that realm, like things that you don't have control over, impulse control over, okay? So even like social media addictions or substance addictions or food addictions, like I said, cravings. So if you're craving sweets during the day, binging at the end of the day, whatever it is in that realm, that's what we're talking about today. And I have notes because you know me, that once I go, I'm just all over the place. I have ideas flowing all the time. So I'm going to try to do more notes and stay on task here. So with binge eating, with cravings, with addictions, this overall is a game of neurochemistry, guys. This is dopamine signaling. This is dopamine control, right? So when we are having cravings, when we are binging, when we are using our social media in an impulsive way or in an addictive way, when we are using substances, we are trying to get a dopamine response, right? We are trying to get a pleasurable response. Your dopamine is something that excites you. It makes you want more, right? It pushes you to do something even though it can be destructive, right? So dopamine isn't always destructive. It's definitely something that can be utilized as a tool. But if you are not careful, then those dopamine triggers, as I like to call them, can get you to act upon impulse instead of acting out of decisiveness, out of a decision of an action, right? Okay, so we need to think about that. We need to think about how this is a chemical response in the body. It is a neurological game to why you are having these cravings, these binges, these addictions, these impulses that you don't necessarily want to have, but you feel that you don't really have control over them. So your dopamine wants you to get another hit of dopamine per se, right? So when your phone dings, right? We all know that sound of a phone ding, right? And some of us, as soon as we hear it, it is an immediate distraction, right? And it's an immediate grab, right? So once you hear that ding, that is a dopamine response that you are getting, that excitement, that, ooh, what is that? Like, it could be really good. Like, it's enticing, it's temptation, right? So that makes you want to grab the substance or the phone, right? And so your dopamine is signaling you to do something. And so when it comes to cravings, and the dopamine response, it is a reward for a substance, a food, right? So your body, especially when it is addicted or it is programmed to eat very high glycemic or rewarding foods like sugars, grains, rice, starchy foods like that, those types of food, high glycemic, insulin producing foods create a stronger dopamine response, okay? Which then follows the crash, just like a drug. It's just like a drug. And in fact, sugar, there are tons of studies on it now. You can look this up, but sugar is more addictive than cocaine because it actually lights up the same brain areas, but more heightened, okay? And so this is anything with a very high glycemic food. It is something that dings your dopamine levels. It makes you want it. It makes you want more, okay? And then when you go into that crash, you're in this crash, those dopamine levels have even back out, which feels like a lowering, right? You were in this high, you were in the sugar rush, and now it's lowering. And so now you're losing your energy, you're getting kind of moody, and these start to activate need of another dopamine response. So this is the problem with high glycemic foods, which is why you are having cravings when it comes to food and why you are binge eating, because you are trying to get. So when it comes to binge eating in particular, you've gotten so used to the smaller dopamine responses that now you have to pile. You have to compile more into your system to get the same amount of dopamine response, or to get the same heightened dopamine response, chemical response, right? So for an example, like if you're used to eating 1 cup of ice cream and you do that on a consistent basis, let's say you do this for a week or two, well now like the 1 cup of ice cream isn't really like as satisfying. You need more. So now you need like 2 scoops of ice cream until eventually you need a pint of ice cream. But if you were to detox, if you were to fast away from this ice cream for a while, then you would re-regulate your dopamine levels, and then you would be satisfied with that cup of ice cream once again until you do the cycle again, right? Okay, so that's where binge eating comes into play. It's because you have abused the dopamine response. So now you have to heighten it more. You have to get more of it. Just like binge watching Netflix. You can't watch one show that was really good, that one episode, like it was so good, and if I turn this off, then my dopamine levels are going to go down and it's going to be painful. My body's going to act in a pain response, right? And so I'm going to watch the next episode, and then you're going to start watching it, and it's like a dopamine release. You got pleasure, you got what you wanted, dopamine release. So binging and cravings, they come from that. They come from the dopamine response. And there's a way to navigate cravings and binge eating in particular. And for one, that is to legitimately nourish your body in a way that isn't consuming high glycemic, pleasure-seeking foods. We have to start nourishing our body. And so a lot of people, when they go to nourish their body, they start restricting, or they start manipulating macros, but still keeping that dopamine response food. Okay, instead of like exchanging dopamine activities, which I'll get back to in a minute, but they just want to manipulate it. They don't really want to get rid of their addiction. They don't really want to nourish their body because their temptation, they still want it. Okay, and that's not necessarily bad if you want to go that route. But to me, that's not necessarily a healthy way to go about it. So in order to get rid of cravings and get rid of binge eating, you need to fast. You need to fast from those temptations. You need to re-regulate your neurological chemical response to these items and gain back control over your body. Okay, so going back to social media, you hear that phone ding and you automatically want to grab it, right? Well, if you were to fast from social media for a while, like you were to temporarily delete your apps, you were to put your phone away and off, and go do something else away from your phone, and you actually took some time to fast from that, and avoided the temptations, like, oh, I need to go check my phone right now. There might be somebody that's going to be calling me, or somebody that's going to be texting me, or I might be missing out on something. If you can avoid those temptations, then you will start to re-regulate your chemical response and actually begin to think about the actions. So for example, if I hear my head say, oh, you need to go check your phone right now, like there might be something on social media that you missed out on. If I hear my brain say that, I can be like, no, I'm not going to check my phone right now. Instead, I'm going to go take a walk. And so this time of fasting away from social media and actually making this switch to something else will give you time, just like meditation would, to what word am I looking for? Recondition connect your neurological patterns to not be automatic on the addiction, automatic on the impulse, right? Because we want to create a new neurological connection. This is where the neurochemistry game comes into play. This is where the mindset game comes into play. This is where the conquering the mind, which Boudica Fitness is all about, comes into play. This is why I'm all about this, because it is a neurological game. All of it's a neurological game. Every freaking thing in life is a neurological game. Okay? Even your cravings, even your binge eating, even your addiction, even your lack of success, even you quitting at the end of the day, it's a neurological game. And if you can conquer that, if you can conquer your mind in a way where you don't react to what your mind wants, but instead you take control of your mind, then whatever you want to do, you'll be successful at it. Okay? So moving into addictions, right? So we kind of talked about social media, and I wanted to bring social media up and the phone usage up because we are all inclinated to be addicted to that. You have to remove yourself from it at times in order to re-regulate your control. Okay. So addiction, I'm going to read this particularly because when a drug user takes a drug of choice to achieve the pleasurable feeling being sought, the dopamine chemical is released. When the brain gets overstimulated with a certain drug, it releases dopamine, which produces the euphoric effect and reward and reinforces the drug user's behavior, right? And this is the same with cravings and binge eating and any other addiction or scenario, right? Because we are creating a effect that gives us pleasure or euphoria or makes us feel good, right? And we are activating those dopamine responses, which makes us want to do it again, right? And if we don't do it again, we're bummed out, right? We're depressed until we learn how to re-regulate that and be okay with that and really start to switch out these dopamine triggers for ourselves. So how do we fix this? How do we really start to change our cravings, our addictions, our binging, whatever it is that you are struggling with? How do we start to change this? And I've kind of went over this a little bit. We have to conquer the mindset. But one thing that we really have to do is realize that we have to do a dopamine detox. We have to re-regulate our dopamine levels, because if we are constantly in impulse instead of thinking and acting in the way that we want to act, then we are controlled instead of controlling ourselves, right? We are being controlled by our body responses instead of controlling how we want to respond. And this goes with everything. But in particular, we're just talking about fasting, dopamine fasting, right? And so we want to start removing all the temptations that we impulse on. Hey, Ezra and Evelyn, can you remove yourself for a minute? So we want to remove everything that is a temptation that we feel like we have no control on. So whether that is social media, whether that is a food that we can't, that we can't regulate ourselves around. So like, for instance, like I'm not going to keep brownies in my house. I'm not going to keep chocolate ice cream in my house. I'm not going to keep certain chocolate treats in my house. I'm just not going to do it because I know that I have no control over it. I have control over it actually until I decide to eat a piece of it, and then I have no control over it. And I know that that's a weakness for me. So I just don't put myself in that situation, right? It's just like if a drug addict literally just got off drugs, which I've been a drug addict before, okay? If they just get off drugs, you can't put them back into that situation because they don't have the willpower to stay away from that drug. Okay, does that make sense? So you have to kind of think about it like that. It's just lack of impulse control. And so you have to fast from these substances in order to regain the control over your mind and ultimately your biochemistry, so that way you can play the game the way you want to, okay? So when you start to fast from dopamine, this gives you an opportunity to increase your resistance around temptations. this is one reason like meditation can be such a helpful tool, because you are learning to sit with yourself with nothing else going on and learning to hear thoughts coming into your mind and releasing them, or keeping hold of them and setting in them. It teaches you how to manage your thoughts and how to react and not react on thoughts. Same with exercise. Like, I freaking love exercise for this reason, because it helps you learn to conquer your mind, okay? So when I'm exercising, I'm pushing myself freaking hard. I'm trying to get the next weight. I'm trying to get a good time. Okay, some days I'm a little more chill about it, but there's days where I'm putting my body and my mind to the test, and I do it on purpose. Because when I am in my head and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, what am I doing? Like, this is heavy. This is hard. Like, I'm dying. Like, my chest is on fire. I keep freaking pushing it. I keep pushing it, and I tell my brain to shut up, because I'm conquering my mind. I know my body can do it. It's my mind that's telling me I need to stop. Okay, so it's conquering the mind. It's telling my brain that I don't need chocolate, or I don't need to eat another piece, or I don't need that type of food, or I'm only craving something because I haven't nourished my body today. I am not actually eating foods that nourish my body. What I'm eating is foods that are spiking my glucose to make me feel good and give me instant energy, and then crashing and feeling like crap all day. Okay, so this is the reality of what we're working with here. And I find it so irritating that coaches aren't teaching this. They're not teaching real health. They're not teaching real fitness. They're not teaching real mindset and how to actually put it into a lifestyle where you can actually make real changes, not only with your health and fitness, but with your mindset and with your whole entire life. Because once you are healthy, once you are physically healthy, once your mind's healthy, once you have energy, once you have conquered all of your temptations, and you are able to think and act for yourself instead of being controlled by outside sources or your body urges, then you can really make the life that you want. You can navigate life. You can press through things that seem hard. You can be committed. You can be what the society is not, right? Okay, so this is why I'm so passionate about this stuff. So the power of detox is after you fast, you are able to stop and think instead of reacting. You are able to make the decision that you actually want, right? And you can think about long-term goals and desires and act accordingly, because you are not you're not controlled by your impulses. Okay, so let's think about this. Get a piece of paper out, get a notebook, like get something, pause this if you're watching the replay. First of all, put hashtag replay on this in the comments, and tell me that you're about to be journaling, okay? And here's some questions that I want you to write down and answer for yourself. What temptations do you want to avoid? What are your current struggles? Where do you feel like you lack control? What are your impulses and compulsions? And then when it comes to your phone, your social media, your TV, and food, how do you feel about those? How much control do you feel that you have over those things? Okay. Then after that, flip the page, and I want you to create a list of cans and can'ts. Okay. And this is where you're going to start your fast. So whenever you decide, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to be on social media at the end of the night and not hang out with my family, I don't want to binge at the end of the night, or whatever this problem is for you, I want you to write a can and can'ts, okay? And I want you to write on the cans of what you can do, and the can'ts reminding you of the items that you want to avoid during your fast, okay? This is going to make it easier for you, because I want you to post this where you see it on a daily basis during your fast. So that way, so that way you can remind yourself of what it is that you want to change, and how to go about that. Again, make this easier for yourself. Like, you should be temporarily deleting apps. You should be making sure that you like unplug your TV. So if you go to hit the remote, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to be watching that. Stop binge watching the TV and producing excess dopamine. What else? Don't keep crappy foods in your house. Like, find a different activity to do. What is it that you can do instead of doing these things? Or what is it that you want to do instead of doing these things? Are you wanting to have a new hobby? Are you wanting to start doing fitness? Are you wanting to start a new diet journey? Hopefully, a nourishing diet. Are you wanting to start learning about investing? Do you want to learn a new knowledge, a new skill? Do you want to start painting? Do you have a personal growth item? Do you want to start a business? Like, find something else to do while you're fasting, because not only are you getting rid of temptations, but then you are creating what you actually want instead of doing those things. You're replacing the dopamine response. And so this is where it starts to get fun. Because once you get rid of the temptations and you start to replace it with what I like to call like a life mission, a pursuit, a lifestyle, a play to win type of goals, right? And once you replace it with that, then you get a different dopamine response. You get a dopamine response of internal reward for things that you are doing, for a life mission, for a drive, for a purpose, right? This is where the life coaching comes into play, right? Because we want a life mission. We want to make a difference. We want to change things while we're here so we can make a better world for our children or for our community or for our society or for our family, right? We have a different purpose. We're starting to educate ourselves better. We're starting to get our health and our fitness and our life together, right? And so this is the important part of the dopamine switch, of taking the impulses, right, and removing those temptations and those impulses and actually being a creator and actually doing the things that we want out of our own personal actions and control. Okay, so this is the fun part about detoxing from bad ways of utilizing dopamine and implementing a positive way to utilize your dopamine responses. Getting towards the end here. I hope this is very helpful for you guys. Please like this and share this with your friends. Invite them to the tribe. I really want to grow this thing. I really want to start helping people, and I want to make these videos a lot longer. And I will be posting this stuff on YouTube too. So, and I'm going to start doing way longer lives on YouTube. So if you guys haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, please go to YouTube, Haley Morris, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then also go to bodicafitness.com and grab like a free health guide or something. Look at my blog and also subscribe. So if you grab a health guide, it automatically gives me your email, so that way I can send you blogs or more classes like this or exclusive information, which I'm going to be doing in the very near future. And plus, I have something really cool that I'm going to be releasing at the beginning of May. So I'm super excited to start sharing that with you guys very, very soon. So yes, like and share. Okay, so towards the end here, some positive dopamine releases that you can automatically start implementing in your life without even fasting is getting enough sleep, exercising, listening to music, meditating, and spending time in the sun. These are natural ways to increase your dopamine levels, and maybe that can help you also kind of wean away from the other dopamine signaling responses. I know that when I exercise, I don't want to eat a lot of junk food. I want to eat clean. I know when I sleep well, I'm not drinking a lot more caffeine throughout the day. I know when I'm listening to music, it makes me feel better. Especially if it's very good music, and that's a whole different subject. But if I'm listening to music that makes me more upbeat and more happy, so that's a dopamine response. When I'm meditating, I just talked about how that is a huge tool for this. But meditating, once you get really good at it, very well so helps you with your mental health, with connecting to your spiritual health, and just learning how to control those thoughts. Spending time in the sun, natural vitamin D. Please don't put on sunscreen. We need it. And sunscreen is what actually causes cancer. So be sure that you are in the sun, like sweat, like get all the vitamin D that you can. When you do decide to fast, in social settings, it really does help if you tell someone like, especially like social media, like, hey, I'm not going to be on social media. It just makes you feel better. That if somebody's trying to contact you, they know why you're not responding, right? Like or tell your best friend, like, I'm probably not going to respond. Like I'm taking, a phone break. When you go to social gatherings, like it's okay to bring your own nourishing foods. It's okay to eat before you go. Like I did this stuff so many different times. Like occasionally we eat before we go places because we know that it's not going to be food that we necessarily want to eat. And then if we see something, like we kind of snack or whatever. Like nourish your body, guys. The calories really do not matter over quality of food, and that will help you so much more with your cravings and your binging. Once you start to notice performance and control over your wants and desires instead of just reacting out of impulse, you will then receive dopamine responses and internal rewards from your successes. It will then become a game that leads you to greater success. And that is the last of my notes. And I hope that this was super helpful for you guys. I'm glad that this video does seem longer because that is definitely one of my goals. And yes, please, please, please like and share and let me know if you guys have any more questions in the comments or shoot me a message and I will be more than happy to talk to you. I will see you guys next week on Wednesday. Please stay up to date with the events that I've been hosting on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you haven't, and you can message me for those links as well. Bye. Have a great rest of the week.